Where you live impacts where your kids go to school, their opportunities, and ultimately how much wealth you'll be able to pass on. And just east of Harrison Boulevard in Ogden, Therese Grajava recently learned something about her neighborhood and her home.
Shouldn't be there.
It's what brings her to the county recorder's office.
We can see here the date that it was recorded.
Getting the help of Marissa Araguin, a research assistant at Weber State University.
I did grow up in Ogden. I know that there's a lot of people that are going to question whether or not this even matters.
Grajava taking steps to remove language from her home's covenants, which was written up for the whole subdivision in 1947, that homes there could not be occupied or owned by any race other than Caucasian.
I think it's important for my children to realize that we stand together and with everyone.
Several subdivisions with that same restriction coming to light through the work of Jennifer Nagy, an adjunct professor of economics at Weber State.
I'm a little ashamed. I feel a little bit ugly and a little bit angry.
But Ogden isn't alone in this. Grajava is making those changes now for free after Utah House Bill 374 became law earlier this year, making it easier to remove restrictive covenants. The bill passed after properties with similar deeds were found in Salt Lake County. How many of them still exist in Utah is not clear, and even though racially restrictive covenants were struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1948,
These covenants were powerful because neighbors enforced them on each other.
Nagy's research began after she found a map of Ogden from 1931 where planners would grade parts of the city. Nagy says that in D and some C-grade areas, banks would deny mortgages to anyone, in part based on minority populations there, because that posed a perceived risk for default on a loan. In the A or B areas is where you would find those restrictive covenants, along with developers and homeowners unwilling to sell to minority families. And in Ogden, you can still see the footprints of that map today, perhaps the best known division here along Harrison Boulevard. We've got some of the nicer homes to the east, the not so great to the west. For Araguin, whose grandparents lived in a D neighborhood.
As of today, we still see things like segregation, legal means of segregation. There's always a way about that.
Through things like minimum lot sizes, steering from some realtors, it still happens today. The fact that there are people willing to take steps against it.
It's absolutely important to me.
Mike Anderson, KSL 5 News.